We're back! This week on Kiss My Collectibles, we talk about some more bootlegs. Detroit, Michigan, January 29th, 1977, and Largo, Maryland, December 20th, 1977. Want more Kiss? Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our channels on YouTube and iTunes.
Look, it's rock and roll!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Kiss My Collectibles, your source for vinyl, toys, bootlegs, and more. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Herndon, and with me, as always, is...
Couldn't get rid of me if you tried, Andrew Scambatti, here again.
And I have tried. But he keeps coming back. He's like a cockroach or something. I don't know.
No, just like one of those dogs that, you're like, go, and then he just comes back like, all right, here's...
Yeah. And joining us today, all the way from San Francisco, is...
Oh, that's me, Julian, from the KISSFAQ podcast. You must be scraping the bottom of the barrel to have me back on. So, as always, thank you both for having me on the show. Appreciate it. And I apologize in advance for anything I may say or do. It's not my own doing. I am possessed.
Okay, guys, we'll see you later. That's the show.
Yep, we'll see you. Thanks. You're not the bottom of the barrel, man.
No, you're
the first guy we reached out to.
The cream was close to the top.
Yeah, we had our third guy, our esteemed colleague, Nicholas Buckland. He had to step aside. It's a weird time difference, and he's got a family, and so he had to step aside for a little bit. Hopefully he's not gone forever. We'll see where that goes.
Still a member of the family, and we actually mean that. This isn't a kids or people too spot either, where we're talking about, when Kiss is talking about Peter, they're saying he's still a member of the family, but this is the real deal. But also too, the other reason why I haven't been here all that much is just because I just finished my second movie, and been busy doing that. But we're back here, and it's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Hopefully still wanted. So.
Well, we were never wanted. We were just the only ones. So.
All right. Well, let's see. We're gonna do some show and tell. So, Julian's probably not prepared. I don't know. Have you purchased anything lately? You want to show something?
Yeah, I've still got some stuff on my desk that's coming recently. So, it also gives me the opportunity to pimp one of my projects, which obviously I am desperately trying to get the Crazy Nights featured into a publishable form. So in getting that kind of going, and Desmond Child, if you're listening, I want to talk to you, please. I've been buying some stuff for pictures for the book. So recently I've been refilling my collection of the CD videos that came out in the late 80s that were completely useless. You can't still watch. So picked up the one
You
for
can't
Crazy
watch
Nights.
them at all? You can't?
No. Not unless you can find a player, which probably goes for some dirty amount of money, but still even works on eBay. So I got that one, got the Turn on the Night one, something that fell out of one of my purchases, a jukebox strip for
that's cool.
Crazy Nights, and of course the Crazy Nights promo CD single, which was the band's first ever one.
What's the matter with us buying things that we can't even listen to or watch? Why do we do this?
Well, he said specifically
we're Kiss
for
fans. Yeah, but we're Kiss fans, so it's irrelevant. It's like people who collect reel-to-reels of the Kiss albums and don't have a reel-to-reel player.
Or people that collect 8-tracks that don't even open them.
Dude, I collect 8-tracks, but I have an 8-track player. It's sitting right here. I played one on the show one time.
That is true. I remember that.
So.
And that is actually, Jason, one of the things I still want to see done. To have every single one of the Kiss 8-tracks ripped to digital so that we can compare the versions of every single song on that format with what was released on the vinyl, because they did do weird splices. There are some that had longer fades, shorter fades, hard endings, et cetera, to get all of that sort of stuff cataloged. So 8-tracks are completely still valid.
I agree totally, Julian. I have always wanted to do that. The problem is I haven't owned. You would need to own a component 8-track player to do that kind of transferring, and I only have a portable, and you got to invest a little money, and to get a decent one, those things are not cheap. People
neither are the 8-tracks.
And you worry about damaging the media doing that.
Right. They're very delicate. They, the foam pieces that are behind that press, the tape against the heads are brittle by now. You would probably have to replace those if you're going to play them. It's yeah, I don't know. That would be a difficult project. I think probably
it's a dangerous task to ask of anyone. For anyone who collects cassettes as well. It's not like replacing the pressure pad on a cassette tape. You can usually get a newer cassette and just fiddle out the foam pad and its mounting arm and insert that in, when necessary. But 8 tracks, whole different ball game.
Right, and I mean, what are you going to replace that with? I mean, it's not like they make those anymore, and you can only replace them with other 40-year-old pads,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you'd go into the Salvation Army or Goodwill and buy some old 99-cent 8 tracks and inspect the pressure pads and the components.
Right.
So it can be done, but
Sure.
who has that sort of time when there's families? You have to be pretty dedicated to say, I'm going to start this project to go through my, here's my $190 Elder 8 track. I've just been dying to play it, and no, most people say, forget it, Julian, get a life.
There's no way that I would be doing that for the Elder, Animalize, Lick It Up, or Creatures because they're ridiculously priced.
Yeah, and I guess you could also invest in those nice Sonic Boom 8 tracks that show up on eBay every now and again to see if there is actually Sonic Boom on them. I hate that rubbish.
I do too. I've kind of been on a buying freeze lately for various reasons that I'm not going to get into here. But I did purchase one thing that I think me and you, Julian, were discussing somewhere, maybe in chat not too long ago. Well, I'm not going to take it out of this thing because it feels stuck. Anyway, I got my hands on one of these.
Oh, you did brilliant. Cool. Excellent.
So it's a window cling for Carnival Souls, and it's, it's a rubbery material that the label would just come in and stick it up on the windows so you can see it from outside the store or wherever you want to put it. But it's a window cling, and
pretty cool.
I found it for a good price too. I was pretty shocked. I don't think I paid more than $10 for this.
It's good.
No, that's a bargain. How many window clings are there? I'm only aware of the Elder one and the Carnival of Souls, which
only ones I know.
If those are the only two, that's quite a connection between the success of both of those albums.
Agreed.
Or the lack of.
Yeah. So, I've always wanted that. There's not very much promotional material for Carnival of Souls around, and that's one of them. And so I was happy to see it. I just happened to, when we talked about it that day, was it you and I that was discussing it?
Yeah, it was us.
When we talked about it that day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to look. And I looked, and someone had just posted one for like a real cheap buy it now, like $6 or $7 or something like that, and charged me like $5 to ship it. So
done.
I grabbed it right up.
That's one that like we were saying in the chat that we had, that I want to still add back into my collection, along with the Carnival of Souls promo poster, because I did promo for Phonogram when that album was coming out. I gave everything away. So I never kept any of that stuff for myself. And, just because it was the first promo I'd ever done, I'd love to get a copy of that poster back so that I could get it framed and up on the wall.
I think everybody would want a copy of that poster. It's damn near impossible to find.
Exactly. There weren't many. I can't even remember how many I was given because I don't have any of those email archives anymore.
I think they were actually even looking for that when they were recreating. I could be wrong, but I think Tom said they were.
They were, and I looked through. I looked. I knew who those people were. I still have my notebooks from back then, so I knew who won them, but couldn't find any of them.
Yeah, so they were looking for it. Yeah, just so people listening, they were looking for it when they were trying to recreate the cover for the 2014 vinyl issue of Carnival of Souls, and they couldn't locate any high resolution image at all of that. So anyway, it's rare as hen's teeth. So anyway,
so I was able to add something back into the collection that I've been wanting to add back in for a while, and I went to this. I'm a huge action figure collector too, so I went on some action figure forums to try and find something that I could use for these. And I don't remember the link. I'll have to put it up in the written matter later. But not only did I get a set of Migos, but I also got these cool little acrylic cases. So these acrylic cases, they ship flat. Then you fold them on the creases and then put in these little spacers. And then you kind of put the dolls in here. So I thought it was cool. So I got all 4 of them. There's Peter. Peter is missing his wrist cuff, which is okay. I'm still looking for that if anybody wants to sell or trade one. Here's Paul. Here's Gene. And here's Space Ace. So they're all in pretty decent shape for what
they
I
look
pay.
good.
Yeah, they all are in pretty decent shape for what I pay for them, and considering how old they are. There's a little bit of rub on Ace's makeup on his nose. I don't know if you could see that, but which it's totally okay. And they look great. They are the muscle versions. So it's cool. So these are back in the collection. And something else that it's not Kiss related, but I know Jason and I usually end up talking about this.
Oh.
I did want to show this because Playmates just put this out, but it is a retro '84 Voltron that I had something like this when I was a kid, and to go into a Target and buy this new again, I thought it was cool as hell. And it's pretty big too. It's about 24 inches. And see, that's the original Matchbox one from the 80s. So this is cool, and this definitely stands proud on my shelf. The lions, even individually, are cool, and it's electronic, so like when you're putting the lions together, it makes sounds, and I thought it was cool. So anyway, I got that, and I wanted to show that. So
Whoa, what? I had my earphones out. What did you say that makes some sounds when you put them together?
Yeah, you want to hear one? I don't know if you could hear one of them. Let me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So it goes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So let me.
Gotta show this.
Let me take.
Come on, team. Let's get out of here fast.
But I wanna. Hold on. How do I? Okay.
Activate.
Connected. Infracells up.
Hold on. Let me. Here, I want you just. Because there's a bunch of phrases from the show, but so I got the leg off. So when you put the leg on, it knows what you're doing. So check it out.
That's it. I'm buying that. I'm sold, man. I am buying that. That is incredible.
So what's cool about this is each of the lions, the yellow, the red, the green, and the blue, each of those lions are about $17 at Target. Yeah. The black one's a little more expensive. The black one was $25 just because it has the electronics in there and it's a little bit bigger. But yeah, you can get these at Target.
That's great.
That's pretty cool.
That. Sorry, Julian. We nerd out like that sometimes.
No, that's perfectly all right. I'll just tell you, upstate New York, 1985 to 88, we used stuff like that for a 22 target practice.
Oh, no.
Transformers were our favorite.
Wow.
So, sorry.
Well, do you know how much most of that shit is worth now?
I'd so much money.
Yep, but the price on teenage destruction,
dude,
priceless.
To get you a 1984 Matchbox die-cast Voltron will easily cost you $500 to $700.
Especially because the red and the green lion heads, they would shoot off.
Heads, yeah.
So finding one with the heads actually complete is near impossible.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. The last thing that Andrew and I want to show is our good friend Ken Gullick over at E1 Entertainment sent us copies of the latest Space Invader picture discs. Now this is a double picture disc that's coming out. It's got a download card that comes with it.
Oh, hey, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
I see it now. Now that as soon as you said it, I saw it.
Download card down there. And, it comes in this PVC slip. And it's neat because the front of the slip is cut to the shape of the record. And then the back one is square. But anyway, super killer. You could get this anywhere online or go into your local independent record store if you're close to one, and I'm sure they'll have it in stock. But yeah,
E1 Entertainment, we're huge fans of E1 Entertainment.
Huge fans of E1 Entertainment, and thank you, Ken. And go pick this up, man, because they're not pressing a bunch of them, and once they're gone, they're gone. So
it's cool. So is that all?
I'm jealous. That looks absolutely fantastic. I'm waiting for my package to arrive with one. But I will say that of the previous Anomaly reissue that they did in the same style, absolutely exquisite detail.
Yeah.
Just wonderful quality. It's great to see that sort of thing being done with that care and attention again.
Well, the good thing is Ken is a huge KISS fan. Anyone in the circle of collectors, his name is. You probably know his name. He's been involved in a lot of KISS projects. He's a huge KISS fan, and I'm sure. E1's a great company. They have a lot of artists on their label, but I'm sure Ken probably pays a little extra special attention over there to that ace as well, because, I would do the same thing. If I was a fan and I was working at a label, I would certainly, it's definitely cool. Super heavy vinyl. I mean, that package is pretty heavy, just those 2 records. So, pick it up.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today, gentlemen?
I don't know. How you been? Snowstorm up there?
Up here, I mean, there has been quite a few, and I would look out, the window, and I would just see like it would be kind of sunny, then white out, then kind of sunny, then white out, then we've had a lot of requests to talk about more bootlegs. So today we're going to talk about 2 shows, and we chose these 2 shows because they are the classic 70s shows that were released after the quote-unquote good old days. So these shows came out in 2007 when KISSology Volume 1 was released, and also in 2005 through an eBay auction that I'm sure all of us are going to have a lot to talk about. What shows are we talking about today? We're talking about Detroit, Michigan, January 29th, 1977, and Largo, Maryland, which is actually Landover, Maryland. Landover, Maryland, December 20th, Peter Criss's birthday, 1977.
I want to tell you today's Peter Criss's birthday. So when I count to 3, I want everybody to yell, "Happy birthday, Peter." Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Peter. Rock and roll all night, party every day.
Thoughts?
Great shows. We'll see you on the next one.
We'll see you on the next one, guys. So I know the last time we talked about bootlegs, I could always say what I was doing when I remember exactly when I got them. I always do. Because did you guys, we'll kind of jump right into this show. Did you guys know about Largo 77 before it came out on KISSology Volume 1?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
and I can't remember if I was supposed to plead the 5th on that one, but that was one that was known about without a doubt. I think it circulated as well.
A friend of mine showed it to me on VHS in like 2004, 2005, way before KISSology was a thing. And this was that one show that you heard about, but it never circulated among like common traders at that point.
I remember the day that we met. I needed someone, you needed someone too. Yeah. Spend time taking all you could get, giving yourself one thing you never could. Damn. You played with my heart, played with my head. I got to laugh when I think of the things you said.
Like one of those shows that people knew about existed, but they, you could never get your hands on it. Fans from the early 90s who had a lot of those Kiss Vision compilations will know that Dick Clark's Golden Greats showed clips of Largo 77, showed clips of Shout It Out Loud and Rock and Roll All Night. And Eagle Eye viewers, like myself, if you watch the compilation version of the Eye video from 1981, that also shows clips of Largo 77. And if you want to go even further, if you watch the clips of the Second Coming video where they're going over the quick Kiss history, you will see a stage shot from Largo 77 as well. And don't quote me on this one because I can't remember where it was, but one of the Peter Criss news clips from the early 90s has a clip of him singing Beth, and it is from Largo and not Houston. But I can't remember which one, so someone tell me.
I think I recall that, but you recall way more detail about that stuff than I do.
Well,
way more detail.
It's because I'm a savant, and I
You're a savant.
I am a savant.
Put your head in my pocket, grab on through my pocket. Feels so good to see you still. Baby, got to know, do you want to know how you gonna make me feel? I said no, baby, you make me feel. Yeah.
So, Julian, talk a little bit about how you became aware of Detroit 77, because I discovered Detroit 77 by looking at KISSFAQ.
Yeah, I discovered it too, finding out about the auction and bidding on the auction when the three-quarter master was up on eBay. I was thought, okay, I've bought and sourced a lot of audio stuff that I would make this my first video purchase. That quickly became an impossibility as it went way above my means. But I was.
Do you recall what it ended? What the auction ended at?
Yeah, I think it was 5. I've got it right here. So yeah, it went for 5,000 to a European collector. Yeah. So I remember the collector's name, knew all those kind of details about it, but that was a very exciting one, more so than the Largo show from that year, because I had never heard of that one existing. Correct. So right, I as a collector and someone who was starting to learn more and more about the band, and continuing to do the research on the touring side, I mean, there was an assumption that since they had filmed all 3 shows in 76, that all 3 shows in 77 were probably saved in some manner. I can't remember the details. I can't remember what they say in a certain other publication either about those 3 shows. So,
well, do you guys think that the other 2 exist? The other 2 nights exist?
That was where I was going with my question. I feel like I remember discussion, and I'm sorry, I just don't have as good a memory as these 2 guys do, but I feel like that it was discussed that these were owned by someone that worked at the venue, and he had all 3 nights. Is there any truth to that story?
Well, whether or not there's any truth to it, I heard similar that the person had all 3, and it was a very difficult situation to try and get him to part with even one. But obviously one was parted with, and the other 2s, were kind of obsessive, compulsively remain hoarded, and very tightly hoarded at that. Right. So,
well, I heard, and this could be true or not, I don't know what if this is true or anything, but I heard that the incomplete night, which is the one that we have, was purposely leaked to give interest to the other 2 nights that are complete. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that was some hearsay that someone had talked about, but I heard that was leaked out incomplete on purpose so that people would want the complete ones. I think the band owns at least a copy of the same night that we do. I only say that because if you watch the Kissology promo clip from 2007, you will see a shot from Detroit 77 within that little press release that came out. But it's funny that Detroit 7 never showed up on any Kissology. So who knows? I mean, it's been so many years. Does this person still have that? Can their mind be changed? Who knows?
Yeah, and what would be the worth in changing their mind at this point? Is there enough differentiation between the 3 nights? At least when you go to the 76 shows, you've got Ladies in Waiting pops up on one. Right. You've got other things like microphone stands getting knocked over, which, it's the minor little details that interest us. Like, right. When we talked about Anaheim, Gene falling over, it's those little things, shall we say, the minutia. Is there anything spectacular? Because right now, as the band is essentially celebrating the 40th anniversary of, the Super Kiss era, which was 77 into 78, a Live 2 tour, was them at their height, and Largo represents that. You would think that they would be interested in maybe doing a quick and dirty release of some of these, especially since it's been so many years since any of the Kissology material has come out.
Right.
Well, I think the interest for me, just kind of being a knucklehead off the street, the interest for me would be for the complete night. I would be interested to seeing whatever one is complete. Because I'll tell you something, and you guys know this too. We went through the 90s and the early 2000s literally clamoring for better versions of Winterland and Anaheim, and we got upgrades and we got this and that. This one to come out, and it comes out and everyone has it dead mint. Dead mint. So for me, that was cool to kind of be there. Because, I mean, you guys remember, I think it was in the early, probably like 2002, 2003. That's when the Roosevelt Stadium show had come out, the black and white one. And looked like the version that I originally had when I first got it, looked like the tape was dragged across the floor and then kind of wound back up into the VHS. And then that's what I was watching. But to get this show for the first time and have it mint, incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was a good time for sure. I remember there was an old trading site called Sagafoo.com that a lot of people, I made a lot of friends there. Met a lot of people that are involved in this stuff.
Friends in low places.
And that's where I got that show, and probably through a trading Vine or something like that. Vines.
Yeah, because this was right before like file transferring was huge, so people still traded physical media, and you had to go through like certain hoops to actually get digital media to you instantly.
Yep. So yeah, it was a fun time, seeing a show pop up like that, when you hadn't seen one for such a long time. So
it was an absolutely stunning moment. I mean, 70 shows popping up video, obviously, the person who sold it to the European collector then did the dirty and turned around and started selling copies, which I actually bought one from the person, and I still have it, and as Andrew, kind of said, to get a pristine tape, there was the VHSs I had given up collecting because so many of them are so overgenerated. It became a pointless exercise. It was futile, especially when I lived in England, and the PAL transfers were garbage compared to what you guys were watching in its native format. So this thing, just video wise, was really the first live Kiss video, or unofficial, that absolutely blew me away. It's them at what I always felt was a height of their powers, the Rock and Roll Over tour, which that's before they really start going completely paint by numbers. Absolutely stunning. It's a great performance. It's even with the minor blip at the beginning with it cutting into Detroit Rock City, for me that didn't detract. It was, again, it had been so many years since I'd experienced something brand spanking new. It kind of took me back to the first time I saw the Winterland, before there were 15 different versions, as everyone and their dog tried to tweak it, and so, it was just insane.
What did you guys think of when you saw them walking to the stage, and you saw like Eddie Belandaz leading to the stage, and you see them kind of like clowning around with the camera? I love seeing stuff like that, especially in that era.
I do too. I agree.
Totally nuts. I mean, that wasn't because I wasn't a fan in the 70s and didn't go to any of these venues that did have like broad. I don't know what they showed up on the screens, say at Kobo, when they filmed a lot of these shows. They were filmed for display on rudimentary big screens back then. So I don't know what people saw, but to see that now, or back in 2000 and June 2006, when it came out, it's like, wow, this is kind of like what everyone else saw in the 70s who was at one of these venues. So it was the only way for me to go back and kind of inject myself into that original fandom that the longtime fans enjoyed.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I hope in my lifetime that we get to see some other stuff like that from those other 2 nights. Now, here's a question I'm going to pose to you guys. People's Choice Awards 1977. They do say that they have a Kiss clip from Detroit, and they show Kiss on stage accepting the award for Beth, and then they show video of Beth, but the audio is the studio version. I think that Beth is from the same Detroit night that we have. I think. I can't confirm that, but I think that the live footage that was shown on the People's Choice Awards is Detroit 77 and is the 29th show.
that was one of the things that I always went by. That is indeed the case. Yeah, I would have to go back and actually do an A/B compare myself now to be absolutely sure that's the case, because there's too many times that we take for granted things kind of become fact because they're said so many times in the KISS Army. We're kind of notorious for doing that, aren't we?
Yes.
Even when we're wrong on some things, we keep saying it because we're just so used to going on about that. So that's one worth verifying to make sure that it is the case.
Fucking go back to episode 3 of Kiss My Boots, where I just poked holes in all the dates for all those 90s videos that Kiss put out. Every date was wrong. And I'm not talking about one date. Every date was wrong.
Yeah.
Every date was wrong. But let's watch a clip of that, the People's Choice Awards from 1977.
Congratulations, Beth.
That we won the award for the best single in 1976. And you, Detroit, we love you. We love you all. Love you.
It's going to be a takeaway to see where this footage is actually from, but I don't know, maybe that is from the 29th, the show that we all see, or maybe it's from another night, and then if it's from another night, there's proof that something else exists. So, cool. I mean, stuff like that still excites me. So say what you want, it still excites me.
Well, sure, yeah, it excites all of us, and I'm sure there's other gems out there. I mean, who knew that stuff existed, and it's just sitting in somebody's hands. But who knows what somebody is sitting on?
I'm sitting on a rock and sock drum throne right now. That's what I'm currently. That's what
I have
I'm currently.
Tempur-Pedic office chair.
You could hit me if you want.
I think one of the things I was most disappointed in is, when it did come time for the band to do Kissology, this obviously comes out in June 2006. And so it makes it seem like it came out as a play to maybe advertise the availability of the shows for use on the Kissology sets, which completely backfired. Because, when they did the bonus DVDs, they used from this tour at Madison Square Garden from February.
Don't even get me started on
which, yeah, it's one of those ones that just leads to don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
Whereas this, as a bonus disc, if they treated it in a similar manner to how they treated Largo, would have been completely perfect. They could have had dealt with the edits. And I think that would have blown people's minds as much as the Largo one did, for the majority of people. And it would have made far more sense. $5,000 for that, and Kiss owns it, and the performance anyway.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the lack of care that was taken on that February 18th bonus disc for Kissology. For those of people that don't know what we're talking about, if you watch which is, I guess, what is it, the standard bonus disc? Is that what it's called? Because I know Largo, which we'll get into later, was Walmart, and then Detroit.
Yeah, it was the Amazon and major retailer bonus disc.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, or if you didn't have a version of Madison Square Garden 77 prior to Kissology, there are some glitches in Detroit Rock City at the start of the show. So when it came time for them to do the bonuses for the show, what they did is they overdubbed the beginning of Tokyo 77 and then kind of faded Tokyo 77 into the actual audio from New York 77. It's clear as day, and I feel like they use such a poor copy of Madison Square Garden 77 to put as a bonus. Now, I get it. It's a bonus disc. It's added value. It's kind of like those people that are bitching about the gifts in the vault. I get it. This wasn't a selling point. This was just added value, which was cool. I appreciated it. I didn't like that I had to buy the same goddamn thing 3 times.
Amen.
Because
brilliant marketing, though.
Yeah, because Largo's the one I wanted, and I'll share a quick story on how I was so mad about this. So I went the day it was released, Halloween 2006, and I went to Walmart when I still lived in New Jersey. That was the closest thing to me, and they didn't have it, and I was crushed. So on my way home, I hit like a Target or something, and they had it. So of course I bought it and had the Madison Square Garden bonus disc. I was like, this is fine. And then I think the next day or something, I went to check in Walmart again, and there it was, the Largo 77 bonus disc, which is the one I wanted. And then after I got in the 2, I was like, well, I got 2. I might as well get the other one. Because did you guys assume this? Because I assumed this when Kissology was coming out. I thought that the versions on Kissology were going to be far superior than anything that we had ever seen.
Well, sure. I mean, you at least you hoped that, but
Yeah, I've made that mistake before with Kiss, and I'll make that mistake with Kiss in the future. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
So
I set out to buy all 3 of those sets. I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, oh well, and so there I sat with, at the end of the run with 9 of the same box sets. With I've since gotten rid of, 6 of those.
Same.
And just kept the bonus discs. So
well, I didn't even purchase all the bonus discs for Volume 2. The only Volume 2 one that I purchased was the Ritz, because I didn't have that show at the time. So I didn't buy the Largo disc. And what was the other one for Volume 2? Do you remember?
That was Tokyo 88.
Oh yeah. Because I have an awesome copy of Tokyo 88, and at that point I was so disgusted with the edits. At that point I was like, why are they editing shows? This is insanity. So I didn't even purchase the Tokyo 88 one, because the mint copy circulates in the collector's circle, so I didn't need to get another copy of it.
And that's another reason why I probably like, the Detroit 77 so much, even though it never made it as a bonus disc for the first volume of Kissology. The 77 show that is on there, I mean, you've alluded to some of the issues that it has, but it's also so brutally chopped up. There's only 7 songs.
Right.
It is. We understand the reasons for a lot of the edits on these bonus discs, whether it was money, publishing, didn't like a performance, didn't like such and such. There's dozens of reasons that the band took parts out. But that one is nearly reduced to pointlessness. 7 songs, it's a bonus. Again, it's added value, as you've said. But that one was just pruned back a little bit too much for what? Come on, it's their New York City show as a bonus. Their home. Yeah, and the importance in terms of the historic nature of that show, that they've always said, this is the first time that we really felt that we had made it.
Right.
And to do that to a show and just treat it in such a cavalier manner, to me, it kind of spoke of the lack of respect towards their own history that sometimes comes through, intentionally or otherwise. I mean, there's no reason to say that they decided, well, let's just annoy fans. Let's piss off Julian again.
Well, I think I know the Coletti brothers. They were producing these things, right, for VH1, and the Coletti brothers are Kiss fans. They were responsible for doing MTV Unplugged. Now, where I think that they come up short is, I think they were looking at what show is a better visual representation. What is the better quality product that we're putting out? Because when you put side by side Madison Square Garden 77 and then Tokyo 77, it's clear which one is better. It's clear. So I think that maybe a call was made based on that, because one of the cameras at the Garden is always out of focus the whole show. Right. There are those glitches in the beginning. Ace breaks a string during Shout It Out Loud, which is still on you're cutting out bad performances. They still put Shout It Out Loud on there. He broke a string during the solo on there. And so that's still on there. But I think that they just kind of made a decision. They said, well, hey, you know what? If we had to choose between Detroit 77, Tokyo 77 and New York 77, they obviously chose Tokyo 77. But again, if you line up all 3 shows, Detroit, Tokyo, New York, New York is out of there immediately because of the quality. But who is the one that chose between Detroit and Tokyo? Did they just choose it for completeness? Who knows? I know there was some money put into Tokyo 77 because NKH filmed that, but still, man. I don't want to know who was in charge of that. We want you to be a guest on the show. We want to grill you. We want to, make you pull your hair out of a decision you made 11 years ago, which, if you can believe that, came out 11 years ago.
I think Ken Gullick was involved in that project too. Maybe we can get Ken on and ask him some insider's questions about that stuff.
Yeah, he was working. Was he doing PR Fontana at the time for Fontana? Yeah, exactly. So, that's an interesting one. But again, it was a bonus disc. I ended up with 9 copies of the damn Kissologies as well. I was throwing them up on eBay. I got the bonus discs, and then it got to the point where, how many of these bonus discs are actually worth having, with them being all chopped up when you're a collector? And you've got the unedited ones. Yeah, you may have 19 different versions of each one, but I think that's more than enough to live with, rather than some chopped up, unchaptered, improperly
unchaptered.
Yeah, unchaptered. Well, but here's the thing, because I think that they hit a home run with the bonus discs for Volume 3, because you had the complete Weenie Row show Pro Shot, which we hadn't had at that point. Right. And that was awesome. And then you also give us a show that we didn't have either, the Pro Shot Madison Square Garden 96. Again, it's chopped up, but still, we didn't have that. And then, what's it, the Santiago Chile version? I think it's only missing one song, right? It's just missing Take It Off.
And it doesn't matter because, again, that's one I've always sung the praises of as one of my all-time favorite videos that I can just there's very few Kiss bootleg videos that I will just say, I'm in the mood to watch such and such. But you know what? Detroit 77 is one. Largo December 77 is one. And Santiago 94 is one. Yes. And I'll also put my hands up and say guilty. I watched Tokyo 88 a lot.
And we won't hold that against
Tokyo 88. I love Tokyo 88.
What loses it for me is when they do that little jumpy dance during Cold Gin. I was like, what is this? Because you guys need to take it. You guys need to remember, like, when I first saw that show, Animalize Live and Uncensored 84 and Tokyo 88 were the very first two non-makeup shows I ever had, because I didn't collect non-makeup anything at that point. So I had Detroit 84. And I didn't even know half the songs on there because I didn't know Fits Like a Glove. I just didn't know. I was so young, I didn't know. And then so I saw that, and then that year at the New York Expo, I bought Tokyo 88, and I was watching that, and I was like, what happened? What happened?
Nothing. They were great, man.
I'm like a cat when I watch it. I'm just fixated on Bruce. On that show, just watching him work the guitar. I mean, I just love it from a technical point of view. I'm not much of a guitarist, but just getting to watch how fluid and easy he does things, I just find it incredibly rewarding. And of course, Eric Carr. So just it's about the support guys for me on that. On that performance. Plus, it's as they started shifting the set back towards the 70s with the reintroduction of, I think, a Strutter.
I Was Made for Loving You.
It was the start of the road to the reunion at that point.
Opening with Love Gun,
which is always weird.
Bizarre, yeah. I know. No, I love. Well, it is interesting, but I love having Pro Shot of Eric's drum solos with the synthesizers. God, I love that.
Yes, that was very, very cool. We're lucky to have that. We have it in Philadelphia 88 and then again in Tokyo 88.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so any parting thoughts on Detroit 77, January 29, 1977, the legendary Cobo Hall?
My only parting thought is I hope before we die that we get to see the other two nights.
I agree.
If they do truly exist.
I agree with you. And that show holds a special place for me because it was the first kind of one I got as it was released, and seeing as how I went to see Kiss at Cobo Hall, it's cool. Like, I was there. I remember when I was sitting in Cobo Hall, I'm like, just the history in this room, man. I thought it was cool. So
yeah. So you went to the 09 shows up there?
I went to the first night because there was only one night when I purchased tickets, and then I actually was playing the next night, so I couldn't go the next night. So I saw Kiss at the 25th at Cobo Hall. I played on the 26th. I traveled back home on the 27th, and I saw Kiss in Cleveland on the 28th on that tour. So it was a cool couple days.
My buddy Danny Dabbs went up there to see the shows.
You guys are like star-crossed lovers.
Oh, man.
And you know what? It's funny. I actually, Jason's been talking about Danny since we started this show, and I actually met him in Atlanta. Couldn't have been nicer. The guy could not have been. Like, I almost felt bad that I was kind of making fun of their relationship, and I was like, you know what? Like, he gets it. It's funny because
he thinks the world of you too, man. He thinks you're a great guy, and I'm like, dude, you don't. You are way off base.
And I mentioned, I never thought he was a bad guy, but I mentioned on the last show, like when he gave me that signed Lynn Goldsmith book, and she had her personalize it to me. I thought, I was like, I'm never getting rid of this. So cool. So cool. So cool. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. Largo, Maryland, Landover. Who called it Largo? I need to know. I got questions. There's never been a Largo, Maryland. Largo, Florida. Never been a Largo, Maryland. It's Landover. It's always been Landover.
I still call it Largo.
So do I.
It's just one of those things. I mean, I always put Landover in brackets for some reason. I'm on the website right now seeing what I actually do with it, and it's embarrassing. I'll just plead ignorance and just say someone else wrote it that way, so I copied them. So
that's right. always blame someone else.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, at work, when something goes wrong, my first impression was, who can we blame this on?
Oh, I think you can probably winkle a guess as to why Beth and Shock Me are absent.
And King of the Nighttime World.
Yeah,
He was absent on a lot of shows from Kissology, wasn't it?
Yep, because Kim Fowley co-wrote that and they didn't want to pay.
Right.
King of the Nighttime World, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Shock Me, Beth, and Detroit Rock City are the 5 songs that are missing. So do you guys remember, like, what were your thoughts, like, putting in Largo 77 for the first time, Kissology? What do you remember? That was my face. That was my face too, just seeing like yes.
I remember pressing play and kind of jaw agape because, again, I think I mentioned earlier that I think I saw it before it came out on Kissology again with Timecode. I don't remember. I've still got the files on my computer. I'm not going to search to figure it out. But I was blown away. I mean, this for me, I've just sung the praises of Rock and Roll Over Tour as being kind of a high point before they go by Paint by Numbers. But come on, Paint by Numbers, Kiss in 77, 78 is really a high point. Visually, it was stunning. It's a very, very appealing show. Great angles. Also a great performance.
Hell yes.
The cool thing about this show is this show was, and I may be way off here because, like I said, you guys know way more details than me. This show was actually professionally filmed, correct? Which is different than the shows that we normally get, which are just brought. We have them because they're filmed for the screens in the venue.
Correct.
So there's no
in-house
care.
video crew.
Right, in-house video. So there's no care in how the show was shot, as far as thinking about a finished product. But this was professionally filmed.
Do you guys know what it was filmed for? Was this filmed for Dick Clark's Golden Greats? Was it?
Yeah, part was used in the Dick Clark's American Music Awards. And I'd have to pull the contract out of my file to see how much of that whether they only ever planned to use the one excerpt or whether they had intended to use more than that. But I'll check that contract at some point and see what the details were on that.
Yeah. I think weren't the house lights a little brighter? So there's just the show is a lot brighter than what we're normally used to seeing. So it's just the clarity is. Untouched as far as those other 70s shows that we have. It's beautiful. It's beautifully done. Yeah. So.
In terms of beautifully filmed and colors, I mean, you compare it to another one that's got beautiful colors and great definition. What is it? Houston 76. Yeah, and it just blows that out of the water in terms of all the dynamics that go along with it. So. Yeah, it's impressive. I thought it was one of the best choices that they had and they made in terms of the bonus material on this first disc, just because so few people had actually seen it.
Man, how great would that have been if that was on like the actual content of the disc? I mean, this.
Yeah, I think it should have been featured.
Yeah, there's no question that this show blows those prints of Houston out of the water. What always kind of irritated me is if you watch those. You watch Exposed, Extreme Close-Up, Confidential. You watch the 90s videos. The prints of Houston used for those shows are better than what ended up on Kissology. Someone didn't, have the black levels incorrect, and I thought Houston was just too dark on Kissology. And there's no fixing it. I just think that they had the black level set wrong, or maybe it was done there to hide certain artifacts.
That's what I would think, that it was done to hide artifacts. We need to get somebody on to discuss, I think that would be. Has that been done on any podcast or anything? We need to talk to somebody.
Well, I have put one of my friends from back in the day, Dave Stryker, who is the Kiss Vision guy, who's worked for Twisted Sister, worked for all kinds of other bands doing professional video work. I would love to get him on, and he said he wanted to come on, but he's got other things that he's got in his life right now that he has to take care of. So hopefully, if you're ever listening, but I'm going to send you another message. But Dave, we'd love to have you on so we could talk about video minutia like this, because people still love it and people want to hear what happened or why things were chosen the way they did. Regardless, was Houston picked over Largo because they knew they had to take out King of the Nighttime World in Largo? And did they? I mean, who knows? I mean, I wish I knew.
Well, if you think about what they left in Houston, if it's going to be a primary show, Houston had been used so many times, bits and pieces that had been showing up on all of the videos going back to the, Kiss Exposed. So from that point of view, to me, it made more sense that Houston would form the bonus disc, because of the edit work, especially done with Black Diamond switching between the two nights. Or maybe,
Rock and Roll. Is it Black Diamond or is it Rock and Roll Night?
I'm sorry, it is in the middle of Black and...
Rock and roll
all night. I was going to
black and roll,
just to make it one of my own side. Rise your heart.
Rise your heart, yes.
So I think from my perspective, I would rather see Houston in the form that they put on the main DVD, put on as a bonus, and instead do the full.
Largo.
The full Largo, because again, it was so exciting. So I don't know what the logic was behind that. It'd be a great question to ask and maybe get an answer to. Who decided? No, Houston's going to be prime time, and Largo is going to be a B-side.
So there's other shows in Largo that are in the KISS catalog. We have Largo 75, which we're only aware of the encores that have been circulating. There was a performance in Largo 76. Now Largo had an in-house camera system, which that's what was used for the Largo 75 show, and then again what was used for the Largo 79 show. There are additional cameras that were used for the 77 show because, like we just mentioned, it's professionally filmed. So I wonder if there's that Largo 76 show that's kind of out there somewhere that maybe is another one that's going to be uncovered. And also, too, the other question I have was the first night at Largo 77, December 19th, 1977, was that shot? And does that exist?
All good questions.
When we had Mike Wren on,
speculation.
Yeah, correct. All speculation. We had Mike Wren on, another great collector. Mike shared with us God of Thunder from the first night of Largo 79. Apparently, that's the only clip that has survived. Then obviously the second night's the one that ended up on Kissology 2, and the one that's been traded, for umpteenth times.
Yep.
It's just interesting to know that what happened to these things, and how did so little only survive? It's interesting. I hope that something else surfaces while I'm still alive and a Kiss fan. More so,
well,
I'm a Kiss fan.
You got a lot of years left. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the stories. I mean, we're never going to get bored of the minutia. There are some people who probably do, and they don't watch podcasts like the ones that we're involved in, just because this to them is just a drone in the back of their heads, like a bee kind of buzz. But I will never get tired. I would love to know, how these things kind of, the deals that were made to have the videos made, where the video, kind of track it. Who had it? Why did they have it? Why did they get rid of it? And I mean, you always know that, obviously, from a legal basis, that the ownership, you can own anything physically without owning the contents or rights to it.
Right.
So without that even coming into the discussion, just well, I got it from this guy. Well, why? How? Yeah, you don't get to just kind of walk into a show and plug into the soundboard or go grab the video system.
Right.
So I would love to know how they got out without, can someone get arrested for something they did in 1978? Like when it comes to audio and video? I really don't think so.
Is there a statute of limitations?
I'm sure.
Can they burn their bridges with Gene and Paul? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we'll probably never find out in a lot of these cases how these things got out and why.
I just have it in my mind, in my speculative mind, that it's just mundane, like every band that comes through those particular venues, it's filmed or not filmed or recorded, however it was captured. It's put in a box. It's thrown on a shelf, and it's just sitting there, and then who knows what happens, that an employee quits or leaves and takes a box, or we're going to throw this away, you can have it, or whatever, and it's just sitting in somebody's house, and somebody discovered what the hell's in this box, and they pull out and go, oh, Kiss, and then they find out, hey, I can get some money out of this. I mean, that's how I feel like all of this stuff kind of happens, not all of it, but some of it happens.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
You might be right.
It totally happens that way. I mean, just to speak topically, I had an email last night from someone who said, hey, I've got such and such and such a thing. Is it worth any money? My first response was, hell yeah.
Dude, you played your hand.
No, that I'm just saying that. I'm saying, well, it may, it may or may not be. And obviously there are people who just don't know what to do with it. They don't know that they have it. Largo, I always like one part of Largo in particular, and that's when they do the Happy Birthday, Peter. Because obviously this was recorded on his birthday. I thought that was kind of neat that they left that in and cut Beth. It's a little bit of irony packed into a bonus disc. But they also used the audio from 3 of the songs on this on the 2014 Love Gun Deluxe, did they not? Yeah. And yes. Just think about what they did to that.
Yeah.
Why did they do? Oh my God. So bad. So bad.
Oh my God! Talk about taking a fantastic show and abusing it. What, were we enjoying it too much? Did you have to knock it down a peg?
You enjoyed this too much. We have to make this a piece of shit.
Those damn Kiss fans, they're enjoying the bonus material too much. We're gonna set them straight. Here you go, you bastards. Have this.
That's funny,
it has to be one of those things where someone who isn't a fan is the one that's in charge of the project and is like, well, hey, this doesn't sound good. I'm gonna make it sound good. And to someone's ears who isn't a Kiss fan, they go, okay, that sounds better than this. It sounds different, but it has to be something like that.
Okay, I have two problems with that, Andrew. That means that there was someone who didn't know anything about audio engineering in charge of audio engineering, and there was someone who actually signed off on it that said, yeah, that sounds great, Bob. Let's use it. And
I mean, what is the I'm not an audio engineer, but when I listened to that, I was like, ooh. And then I went to the next track, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like, I expected my CD. I'm like, is there something wrong with this? Is it? What the hell? I mean, have we had another pressing issue from the vinyl? What's going on here? And then it just, who on earth sits there and goes, yeah, that sounds good. But then again, I'm getting off topic here talking about that.
It's the same guy that goes, you know what this CD needs? And they're like, I was just going to say that. They're like, what does it need? This CD needs Paul Stanley telling us how the song goes. And then someone's like, excuse me, can't they just listen to the song and see how it goes? No, he needs to tell you how it goes, and you're going to like him telling you how it goes. But wait, that's not enough. Wait, that's not enough.
That you brought that up.
Wait, it's not enough that he's telling you how it goes. We have to slow it down.
And while we're at it, let's put in an interview segment.
This CD, it flows pretty well. Wait, hold on. Excuse me. Hey. Yes. I know I'm new, but maybe we should put an interview in the middle of the CD to kind of mess up the flow. Brilliant.
They'll hate you. Just what we want. Well, it's interesting that you brought that up, because everybody that I talk to cannot stand that teaching. It's not a teaching. I think it's just, it's just Paul in there telling himself how the song goes, and he needs a recorded record of it.
Yeah.
As a musician and someone who's been in a band and in someone who has done that on tape before, I enjoyed that. I mean, I didn't listen to it but a couple times, but why is everybody dog on it so much? Why didn't you guys think, well, that's pretty cool. That's Paul. The ideas for the first time is coming to him on this song, and he's making a record. It's like he had a dictaphone and was making a record up.
Exactly. Mini microphone. Okay, I'm writing the song. This is what I'm doing because this is 1977. And if I don't record it in some way, I'm never going to remember what I was doing.
Right.
Fine. And I appreciate it in that sense.
Right.
It should have been a bonus material put up on a website to promote the package. It should not have been on the package. It's totally valid. It is completely useful. It is not the sort of quality that should be on a commercial product, nor is it flow. Same with the interview segment. That should have been used promotionally, or maybe as a iTunes exclusive. If you buy the whole album, you get...
just put it at the end, and I would hate it significantly less.
I deleted the teaching demo after I heard it once. Once was enough to hear it.
Right.
It's not in the playlist. There's, the live songs have been deleted. The interview has been deleted. I've still got the CD if I ever do get a desperate urge to go listen to Love Gun, Christine 16 Has Shocked Me, where the engineer was obviously watching that Saturday Night Live sketch. But this needs more cowbell. This needs more triggered.
It starts your problem samples. On the list.
Yeah. Well, I was curious, why is everybody dog on the teaching thing so much? But I totally get your point, and I agree. Yeah. I think if it was going to be on there, it should have been at the very end. Maybe one of those little hidden things.
Yeah, a hidden thing would have been awesome. Yeah, a hidden thing would have been awesome.
Yeah, a hidden thing so well hidden that you don't find it. I mean, that'd be perfect.
Here's why I had such a problem with that in the interview. I had a problem with that because obviously there are still cool things in the vault that we've... Oh, here. Hey, the vault. There's cool things that we haven't heard. There's versions of Tomorrow and Tonight. There's songs Much Too Young. There's stuff that we haven't heard. That took the place of possibly something that was significantly cooler than that. So that's why I was like, why did they put that on there? Like what? Like, So then that interview. What made me so mad about that interview is months prior to Love Gun Deluxe coming out, we got a great recording of Kiss on the Canadian portion of the Love Gun tour. What show was that, Julian? Do you remember off the top of your head?
For what?
The Love Gun show that circulates from Canada, where they opened with Detroit. What show was
Montreal.
That? Montreal, correct. So the Montreal show came out, and that interview was tacked on the end of the Montreal show, and it's longer than what's on Love Gun Deluxe. So not only did you fuck it up by throwing an interview in the middle of a music disc, you edited it, and now it barely makes any sense. Gene sounds like an idiot, and I'll just go listen to the whole thing. Like, why? Like, why did you? Who told you that was a good idea, and why did you listen to them?
I have heard from a source at Universal that the band, or Paul and Gene, are being very stingy with bonus content, and that that's the reason why the Creatures Deluxe was canceled, was because they could not get any bonus material from Paul and Gene, or at least not for a reasonable amount of money. And so it's essentially a stalemate, and you just throw on whatever you can get your hands on to make it, a deluxe edition.
So basically we're flashing over to the scene of the Doctor making the Joker in the Batman 1989 movie. He looks at himself in the mirror and he's disgusted, and the Doctor's like, "This is what I have to work with. Like, I don't..."
Right. And I think it's unfortunate because you've got a label who would probably be willing to put out deluxe editions of most of your catalog, and you've got a band that's not cooperating with them, and then you've got a band who has all this bonus material but can't do anything with their masters. So as the fans, we end up not getting either, and it's kind of a bummer,
Well,
so there may also be the issue of Tommy. I mean, Tommy is the archivist,
right?
But is Tommy just responding to, "Snap my fingers, Tommy, go get me some material for a Love Gun Deluxe edition." Tommy says, "What's Tommy going to say?" "Oh, okay." No, Tommy, if he's smart, going to say, "Well, what's in it for me?"
Right.
Are you going to pay me for my time, my effort to go in,
Tommy,
do some research?
On the books. You're already on the books for Kiss. Yeah.
No, he's on the books as guitarist.
As the guitarist of Kiss, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So is the archivist role a bonus? Is it an appointed or affliction? Is it taking advantage of him? I think that when they go in, they have so many parameters that they have to look at to kind of deal with to put any of these packages together. That's why it always comes out being half-assed. Look at Destroy Resurrected. What was that supposed to be? That was supposed to be 2 CDs
Right.
That was supposed to be the version that Bob tinkered with and updated, and then the second disc was supposed to have Sweet Pain and a heck of a lot more on it.
Right.
But for whatever reasons, and some may say, well, Julian, you're completely wrong on this. Well, whatever the case, the end result is that none of these plans have come to fruition. Creatures of the Night, another great example. Is there material? Well, we know from the vault that there most certainly is material.
There absolutely is material.
But was Gene saving it and saying, well, no, you can't use this because I'm going to do my vault? Is that why we have no Crazy Nights Deluxe? Oh, wait, sorry. No one wants a Crazy Nights Deluxe.
I do.
Mike Brandville does.
I totally do. Especially
I know
after,
you do, but
after hearing what is on the vault, which was just a mind blower.
Yeah.
And having heard the other stuff that
I would buy it. It's not first on my list, but I would buy it. I'd be first in line to buy it.
They still have time. We're still in the 30th anniversary of the Crazy Nights era through October the 3rd. But
it's a shame because they're missing all of these milestones. These great opportunities to celebrate milestones for every one of these records, and we're just not doing anything. And it's because you got parties that you got lack of parties that won't work together, and lack of enthusiasm from probably both parties. It's a shame, because some really cool stuff could be done for the fans, and it limitedly press it. It would sell out immediately. I don't understand.
Yeah, Pledge Music, they're still selling the damn 97 remasters in 98. Those are so far past their sell-by date with the fantastic transfers that were updated for the KISS 40 project.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously, Jason, you've heard the audio, the HD tracks, digital files on that, the master to iTunes, for all of those things, the bringing back into the U.S. catalog of stuff like Kiss Killers. It's all there. It's all waiting, to be done either individually or as a package. So it's very disappointing that you go back and look at something like Kissology and a great show like Largo, and you see how it's treated, in such a manner. But then you're not surprised because they really treat everything in the catalog in a similar way to how they chop up videos, how the same sorts of decisions seem to run through the whole product release cycle.
Agreed totally.
I have nothing to add to that for once in my life.
Unbelievable.
Andrew, I'm sorry I monologued again.
No, man, I completely agree. I completely agree. Now, what would piss me off too on the same token is that they released, more remasters with nothing additional on them and they just sound better. I gotta buy this album again. Do you know how many times I bought these albums? The same shit. It's like that George Lopez skit. It's the same shit.
I wouldn't buy them if they came out now. They would probably just be in a flip case, paper flip sleeve instead of a jewel case, which I hate. Unless they were like the Led Zeppelin ones that came out recently.
Freaking great.
And obviously they've gotten away with reissuing their catalog on several occasions pointlessly. Yeah. And then they come in with the 2 CDs. I think Pink Floyd did a run on their catalog with their expanded editions.
So did Bon Jovi, Def Leppard.
Def Leppard's been, for a band that is at war with Universal and has been for many years, if you think that you've had the Hysteria Deluxe, Adrenalize got deluxe treatment, which, it's a bucket of pee. Pyromania.
It's got that one good song on it, Adrenalize. What's that one good song? Let's Get Rocked? That's it. Just play that.
Hey, now, you're talking to a couple of Def Leppard fans here. So.
I'm a Def Leppard fan,
White
too.
Lightning.
White Lightning is amazing.
Yeah,
this is how you do a deluxe set.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Which, that is just a boner in a box. I only needed 2 of the mixes that were included, and I had everything else already. I'm buying that sucker. It just looks beautiful, and just popping off the cover, tour book, all these things that I wish KISS would do. Alive too. We're talking about stuff from '77. Yeah, one's Rock and Roll Over, the other's Alive 2 tour. But this is the 40th anniversary of that era, and this is the end of really the greatest era of KISS, because once you're past that, you're into the solo albums and Vegas KISS. I don't see anyone celebrating the 40th anniversary of I Was Made for Loving You other than perhaps Mr. Paul Stanley, rightfully so, because it is a great song. But in terms of the costumes, the staging, the performances, nothing can hold a candle to what came prior to that in terms of energy and dynamics. That is the era that they replicated for the reunion. And what are they doing now? Well, painting, vaults. Nothing.
Hey, don't complain about the vault.
I'm not complaining
I'm so
about it at all.
psyched.
But it's not something that the whole KISS Army can enjoy.
Which
Right,
just to say about the vault, I just paid it off yesterday, so it's paid. So
Good for
I'm
you,
like
man.
I'm like,
You're in. Now you're in, like totally in. You know, even though they're off doing other projects, Paul's doing his jewelry, his art. We've got the cruise in October, some Gene Simmons band shows. There's nothing to keep kind of KISS fans happy. It's a good thing for KISS to be quiet on the radar as they go into 2019 and what's going to happen then. That totally makes sense. But in terms of keeping the fans happy, they could easily have done a Live 2 deluxe, or a solo albums deluxe. Come on, a little replicate the Japanese box with colored vinyl of the 4 solo albums, or with a bonus EP.
Even if you did a goddamn color CD.
Dude, Tom has pitched colored vinyl to Universal so many times. It is a no-brainer and would cost no additional money. You just changing pellets. That's all you're doing. I mean,
apparently it's not resonating with them. Yeah. I mean, are they not on Verizon? Can't they hear us now?
Oh, God.
I don't know.
Roll
man.
credits.
I mean, think about it. Just a 2,000-piece run, 1,500-piece run of each record, gone immediately.
Premium
sold out.
Pricing, it would be gone.
Sold out day of.
And make every record $19.78. Done.
They ain't gonna do that.
A single LP, $19.78. Is that price too low?
It's too high. Too low. Yeah.
Too low.
Yeah, that's too low for premium. 200 gram it would need to be, or 180 at the very least.
180. Yeah.
And anyway,
so do a CD for $19.78. That would still be. I would buy that. That'd be cool.
Well, if you really want to buy something at $19.78, the solo albums book is, of course, available for $19.78.
Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. If you can bring the solo album and the Elder book, if you could bring me a copy of those, I'll definitely pick them up in Indy. Because
that's the old one too.
Because my the iPad is on its last legs and it's starting to. So
you actually want physical. Wow, I'm very surprised.
Well, just be happy, Julian, that I bought both of your fucking goddamn motherfucking books. I fucking bought them.
Turn it down, dude. I upload these to iTunes as PG.
But anyway, but I bought the books and I happily bought them and I enjoyed them immensely. But I know I have to add to the library because I have a really nice library of KISS books. So
great shitter reading, I'll have to tell you, Julian. That should go on your next book. Great shitter.
When you think of shit, you think of me. Thank you. The association.
Am I the only guy that wants to get in and out of the bathroom fast?
Yes. Yeah.
Like I don't want to read stuff in there. I'm not like checking Facebook. I want to just get in there, get out.
No,
I have no comments to make about that.
It's it's a time to have you can have time alone and you're a single guy and you live in you're alone all the time.
Oh, harsh.
You sometimes you need time alone. And the bathroom is the one place you can get away from, 5 animals and, kids.
I mean, I live with two women, so
Yeah, no, F you.
But anyway, back to what are our parting thoughts on Largo, Maryland, 1977?
I know, but I'm about to choke to death.
Well, I do want to mention really quickly that even when Kissology, the incomplete Kissology version came out, it was a couple years later where the actual complete version leaked. And I think by accident on the FAQ, someone had been mentioning that Gene played a... do you know why, Julian?
No, I was just saying, you just said accidentally on the FAQ. Now Gene Simmons is right now. Julian Gill leaked Largo 77.
No, somebody posted something about Gene playing a Thunderbird bass during Shock Me. And then I found the YouTube links through the FAQ board, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I'm finally seeing the missing songs." And then soon after, the complete version was being traded out. So it was cool. It was cool to finally see it complete. And there is I understand that there was a publishing deal with King of the Nighttime World, but if you do watch King of the Nighttime World closely, there is a video glitch when Gene is like right in front of the camera. There is a glitch, and the screen goes blue and pink for a second. So that's probably why that was taken out. In addition to the rights not wanting to pay rights holders like Kim Fowley and whatever. But yeah, it was very cool to see that years later on that one.
Probably limiting the amounts of time Detroit Rock City showed up to for a Bob Ezrin publishing credit.
It's also true. It is on there quite a bit.
All I know is, talking to people involved in the project, they said the numbers weren't working and they had to make the numbers work. And that's all they alluded to.
Well, and as they
should. And they go through these, just, I know you're trying to wrap up, Andrew, but they do. We've got Eddie Kramer's notes from the NHK Japan shows in '77. So show by show. Oh, Paul has a good rap here. Insert. He's going line by line, or there's a flub here. Exit out. So someone would have done that with these shows. And as you just mentioned with the King of the Nighttime World glitch, maybe there was something in the other songs. They would have taken these as screeners to Paul and Gene for final approvals, I'm sure. Sure. There's nothing that that would never have been delegated out. Paul may have said, "I don't like myself in that part." Get it out. Gene might have said, "Hey, look at Ace." Blame the other two.
Sure.
So there could be a multitude of reasons why any one of these songs could have been left out in addition to publishing. Because how much publishing are you going to save from taking one copy of Detroit Rock City out, unless there's something in the contract that says, unless if you're using this many Ezrin credits, that it's going to go up by a percentage. If you use 1 to 3 songs, it's this percentage. If it's 4 to etc. So just stuff we don't know, stuff that would be really worth finding, getting from someone who was involved. Those sorts of details on how these mechanics work.
Agreed.
All interesting discussions, and we need to get somebody on who was involved in the project.
We do need to get somebody on that was involved in the project. But anyway, Largo 77, Detroit 77. If you don't have them, get them. Watch them on YouTube, whatever have you. They're awesome. You can get the Largo 77 show as a bonus disc that was originally available at Walmart in 2006 when this came out.
Yep. All right, is that it? We out. We'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Put your phone down. Hello, everyone.
Take 2.
Put that at the end. No.